This week, I want to look at the aesthetics of your farm or your garden. Are aesthetics important to you? How your property looks, is that important? Is there something you can do to make it look better? Or is there something you can stop doing to make it look better? That's what I want to look at this week. Aesthetics, how it looks. Stay tuned. You may have heard the expression, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, it's true. How something looks is not the same between individuals. Just imagine what you like for something to look, to make it look better, and use that as the standard as we go through this video. I can remember in my days of landscape architecture, everybody wanted no maintenance. Well, I said, there is no such thing as no maintenance. There is low maintenance. Find out how low a maintenance do you want for your property, your garden, your farm. The aesthetics are there for you most of all to enjoy. If you're doing all the work for somebody, for other people to see, that's one reason, but enjoy it yourself. So you figure your goal. What is it you are doing all this for? And so then you can say, I love the color purple. Then plant flowers that flower purple. It's sometimes as simple as that. I remember working with a couple, and actually it happened more than once. What he wanted and what she wanted were opposites. Now, what do? It's a yard, a suburban yard. How do you make it that both are happy in their on their property? Well, I just designed two gardens on the property. I found out where they like to be together, and I made those sitting areas where they can enjoy an area together, but both had their area that they could go to enjoy, because they had two different aesthetics. So if you find that, well, I like this and he likes this, or she likes this and I like this, then consider having each your own space. For me, it's simple. The farm is my space and our urban home is my wife's space. So that way, each has the power to decide on the aesthetics of their own space. This year, we put some effort into establishing these triangles in our parking lot, of all things. The road is right there, and this is our parking lot, and then here is the permaculture orchard. It's a public place. It's private, but I mean, it's very public. We get a lot of people come through. And so one of the things that I've aimed to do is let's make it look better than it used to, because it didn't always look good enough for me. I know it definitely didn't look good enough for other people then. One of the tricks we've done in wanting to make the changes is let's start at the front and work our way towards the back of the farm. And you can do that. You can say, hey, what's the most visible places in your garden or on your farm? The geese have started to come back today. There they go. So start with the visible areas. Maybe it's the front yard. Maybe it's visible to you. So as long as you're happy with it is really what it comes down to. So we did this year. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Good enough.
Good enough. The rule of the good enough.
The orchard, we set it up so that it is easier to maintain, but that the maintenance can be done. You see, I did a little cheat trick this year. Because it's been a low year, I only mowed this area. You see, even the rest of the parking, because we weren't expecting as many people this year. It's a low year, not much production. So we didn't even mow the rest of the parking. Mowing is certainly one of the ways that you can make things look better, but, and there's the big but, do you have to mow as often? Do you have to mow every week. Oh, my town requires it. How often do they require it? Is there a height? No, there's a height, and maybe you do. But don't be afraid to challenge the requirements once in a while. What I've seen, and we've done projects where we had a strip unmowed and a strip mowed. We would use as an argument was that this is our wildflower meadow. Oh, and if you have a problem with that edge because you say, well, all you did was you mowed and you didn't mow, you can add a series of rocks right on that edge. So put some rocks on that edge, and now you say, yes, see, that's the edge, and this is my wildflower meadow. Let it flower, so don't mow it for 6 to 8 weeks, and then it will flower. So that's a way to get mow and unmowed, but to get the aesthetics of flowering, because flowers are one of the easiest ways to make something look good. I don't know too many people who say, oh, I don't like the look of flowers. Flowers are nature's gift to giving aesthetics a boost. One quick way to get some aesthetic appeal is mowing roadways. So this here is our roadway, and just see down the aisles, see, that's not mowed. And so the contrast is quite striking. Some of you by now are saying, look at that place, it's overgrown. Well, this is a year that I'm looking to build soil on the farm. So letting the plants grow, letting seeds form. It's a different goal this year than our usual years. But mowing roadways is a quick and easy way to get a good effect on the aesthetics. As I said before, we haven't mowed the orchard this year in the same way we normally mow it. And you see what's happening? Right in our aisles, we're getting flowers come up. These are perennial sunflowers. And sure, you know, we end up getting quite a bit. Take a look. They're all down the row. So that's one way to get flowers. Another way is right in our aisles. Hi, Bo. Right in our aisles, we planted. These are some that we planted, so we do get other flowers. So if flowers look good, a succession of flowers look better. Because you can have a spring garden with 2 weeks of flowers in the spring, and that's okay. But it's better if you have flowers from early spring right till late fall. Building a sequence of flowers is really useful. So we cheat because we have all these flowering fruit trees and honey locust and nitrogen fixing trees. So their flowering extends our flowering period with trees, but then we take over with more of our perennial flowers. Another quick way to cheat, but to get some effect, is concentrate your flowers or your points of appeal on the ends of rows, basically along your roadways, along where you'll be passing the most often. So we make sure that we try to get some flowers at the ends of the rows. That just gives a little pop. And if you saw the daylily video, you can even eat them. So that's an added plus. If you have looks good and tastes good, that's even better. Yep. I did say flowers are important, and we've planted certainly thousands of flowers on the farm because it is important. Not just for us, and yeah, you could say, all I want is so it looks good for me. Yes, for you is important, but if you put something that looks good, think of it as, does it also serve some other purposes? And the flowers that we put are really important for the insects, especially on a farm, especially on a place where we grow a lot of fruit. We want a lot of insects and especially a lot of pollinators, but we're not too discriminating. Give us the pollinators, give us the predators, give us the beneficials, and yes, even some of the pests. So look good, works good is important. Oh, you may have wondered what this plant is called. It's called cup plant. Silphium perfoliatum. Did I mention one of my goals? I do it, yes, for my aesthetics. But my aesthetics has a lot to do with wildlife. I do a lot for birds, insects, mammals, because I enjoy seeing them. To me, that's the greatest aesthetic. So the way I maintain and plant and plan has a lot to do with wanting to attract more wildlife, because that's my aesthetic. That's what I find beautiful. I find nature is very beautiful. So my intervention, whether it's mowing or pruning, has consideration for production, because it is a commercial farm, but also has consideration for, will it attract more wildlife? If you want to focus on aesthetics, you have to keep an eye out for edges. What do I mean by an edge? Anywhere you have, for example, grass. So here's the grassy area, and then you have a bed. Here we have a few miles of beds, because we have our tree rows, and then we put fruit shrubs, and we'll put flowering plants under the trees. You've got to get a hang of making your edges easy to maintain. I used to be a landscape architect. I used to work in that field. And I was fanatical about the edge, because you could do a great job. You could say, oh, my garden has been professionally designed. It looks great. And then maintenance kind of takes a back seat, because it's hard to maintain, takes a lot of time, and it's costly. Maintenance has killed so many projects that could be really good, but you've got to maintain it. And the most important for maintenance is your edge. So here in the permaculture orchard, I figured, you know what? I have miles of edge. How can I maintain that easily? Well, if I had to start doing something with a hand tool, there's no way. It would be gone. So the simplest is I use the old tricks that I had been using before, which was either laying an edge of brick or flat stones between a bed and a grassy area. Simply because you can mow on that edge, you could run a mower on the edge and keep grass here and a bed there. And your grass also doesn't invade as much. So we did a few miles of beds covered in plastic, because, well, I didn't want to have an army of people to maintain this place. And so I can maintain it with just running a tractor every once in a while over the edge. This little edge here, between where you get grass and where you get your plants, this is so important. Make it easy to maintain. Think it through. How are you going to maintain it? Always ask yourself, before you put in a planting or a construction, how easy will it be to maintain? Think of that one, because you may have the best intentions, but it may be ruined by not enough maintenance. If you have an edge that you can't maintain, or that you have to maintain by hand, I can guarantee you there's a train wreck waiting in your future in your garden or on your farm. I'm always amazed how much of an effect you get with a bit of paint. We haven't gotten here yet, but a little bit of paint goes a long way. And this is our painting year. Here's a tip. If you're gonna paint, try not to make every building a different color. Figure out a theme. Maybe you want a color theme for your garden, for your property, and try to stick to 3 colors. Could be variations of the same color, but try to stay in 3 colors. You're not looking to create the rainbow in your yard. You're just trying to make everything harmonious and fit together. That's aesthetic. Makes it look like I got a really big nose here, eh? So my wife is the one who likes painting. I don't. But she just did these today. We're still trying to decide brown or red as trim. Not sure. We'll let it sit for a while and see which one appeals to us more. But if you have any structure, bang for the buck, a fresh coat of paint is always a big plus. One of the things about aesthetics is know what you don't like. I don't like piles of junk. But we still have a few because I tend to pile things when I'm in a hurry. So here's a pile of wood. And yeah, we've had to cover it. And now, you don't smell it, but the skunks live under this pile of wood. And they're about to come out soon. Try to consider where you put your piles. Have an area designated for piles. If you're like me, and I guess I could have been a PhD because I like to pile it high and deep. PhD. As I said, I tend to pile things. On a farm, it's very handy to have material when you want to do a project. I basically renamed this our recycling center because this is where we put things that we want to recycle to be used sometime in the future. Where you put things, try to put it outside of a main passageway. Although this is on a roadway, it's not a place that the public really comes very often. So overall, just keep your less aesthetic areas, keep them out of view, or get rid of them altogether if you can. So we looked at the question of aesthetics. Know what is important for you, know what you want and want more of, and also know what you don't want and want less of. Have a goal, that's important. Have a realistic goal. Also consider maintenance, which is super important. How much time do you want to devote to maintenance? Thanks for watching. Intrigued? Check out the virtual tour of the permaculture orchard. Have trees already? Pruningcourse.com. Subscribe, please. Check out some of the other videos or playlists. There's more to come. Stay tuned. Bye. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye. And